Good morning, church. Been waiting to say that, Chris. We are near the end of our E100 weekly readings, journeying through the Bible. And throughout the weeks, these ancient words of Scripture have come alive to speak to our needs, our questions. I found that studying the Scriptures is much like mining for gold. Often, God's truth for my life are close to the surface, clearly shining like a vein of pure gold. There's no mistake as to its meaning or value for my life. But then there are other truths that you have to dig and sift through the customs of the day, through the original language. Well, in looking through the E100 texts for this week and next week, I easily noticed a mother lode of pure gold in this week's readings. Too valuable to pass up. So the messages for today and next Sunday will be from this week's readings. However, I encourage you to do your own digging and sifting as you read through next week's texts. Today, we learn from the Apostle Paul in his first letter to the Christians at Corinth, 1 Corinthians 13, and what a text for Graduate Sunday, for Mother's Day. We call it the love chapter. If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but do not have love, I'm only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have faith that I can move mountains but do not have love, I'm nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part, but when completeness comes, what is in part disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child, thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put away the ways of childhood behind me. For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part. Then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. And now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. I had to chuckle at a cartoon that pictures a pilgrim sitting face to face with a holy man atop a high mountain. This pilgrim had scaled this peak, searching for an answer to the ultimate meaning of life. And astonished, he exclaims to the ancient sage, "You mean that's it? You mean after all my searching, that's it? You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around, and that's what it's all about?" Well, that's a better answer than some I've heard. But that search is on inside each of us. That quest for the ultimate essence of life, our primary purpose for being, the main thing for which we are born. Aren't we all searching for the satisfying substance to fill the God-shaped hole in our soul? The true north to aim our life toward. That pearl of greatest price to spend our life to obtain. If we could boil away all the good, even the better things, what golden essence would be left? What main thing of which we could say, that's what it's all about? Many voices scream at us, claiming to be the real thing. I think we've concluded that Coca-Cola isn't the real thing, nor is it what's in your wallet. What for you is life all about? What one thing drives you more than anything else? Better yet, what does God think? For what main thing did God create us? Well, from cover to cover, the Bible makes clear, and our logic, our experience, and tradition agree, that God designed and created us for loving relationship, for intimate belonging, first with God and also with each other. God put us here to live out our days learning how to love. When the Apostle John tries to crystallize the essence of God in one word, he simply writes, God is love. Back in the Old Testament, God gave us the first and second most important rules for living. Rule number 1, love. Love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. In other words, love God with your whole being. Rule number 2, love. Love your neighbor as yourself. Be as concerned for your sister's rights as you are your own. Look out for your brother's well-being as you do your own. And then later, when Jesus came, he affirmed that the entire law is based on this first and second commandments, and then just before the crucifixion, Jesus amended rule number 2. He said, love one another as I have loved you. In other words, love each other with a lay down my life kind of love, because that's the extreme to which Jesus loved us. The Bible is the epic story of God's longing for our belonging, God's quest to bring us back home to God and to each other in the belonging of love that we were designed to share. That's what it's all about. Now, in a sense, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. Most of us here, I think, know what the main thing is. Deep down, we know our created purpose is to learn to love. So why keep harping about it? Well, here's the problem. What's so hard for us, me especially, is to keep the main thing, even though I well know what the main thing is. I confess, love isn't always what drives and motivates me. Sometimes my aim is way off, miss the bullseye so quickly. We can lose sight of what matters most, get sidetracked on not so important things. Well, the Apostle Paul shared this concern for the Christians he pastored. He feared that these new believers and baby churches would lose sight of their main purpose. And in his letters to the churches, Paul keeps calling them back to the basics, urging them to keep focus on the main thing. And Paul brings into sharp focus in his first letter to the church at Corinth. In chapter 12, he lists many valuable gifts that God gives us for transforming the world, for keeping our fellowship strong. Each gift is good and useful, Spirit-given. Gifts such as being teachers and healers and pastors. He affirms each gift as sent from God and that they should practice them. Paul instructs that these gifts, good though they may be, are not to be our main focus. There's a main thing, a highest good, which must drive everything we do and come before all the good gifts God gives. After listing all these good gifts they were practicing, Paul continues. He says, and now, I'll show you the most excellent way, the way of love. And for the next 13 verses, Paul describes this most excellent way. He begins, if I speak in the tongues of mortals and angels but do not have love, I'm a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have prophetic powers and understand all mystery and all knowledge, even if I have all faith as to remove mountains but do not have love, I'm nothing. If I give away all my possessions, even hand over my body so that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Well, wait a minute. Well, what could be better than to hold crowds spellbound? That would be a preacher's dream. Or to be able to unlock the unsolved mysteries of the universe, to know all there is to know. That would be an intellectual's dream. What could be better than to believe so deeply that mountains will move, to give without limit? But according to Paul, these gifts, as powerful as they may be, if not practiced in the spirit of love, they're worthless. Love is essential. If we are not growing in agape love, we are incomplete. And all else we do in God's name loses its meaning. Paul sounds a bit emphatic, doesn't he? But he's just getting started. But Paul goes on to rank love not only as essential, but the highest good. Of all good things we should go for in life, the most excellent way of all the paths we could follow. Not only is agape love essential, it's the highest good, the main thing. Love comes first. Love puts all else into perspective. Love is the fulcrum, putting all else into balance, the ruler against which we measure all things. Love gives all else its meaning and worth. Love is the keystone, holding together the arch of all virtues. As the Message paraphrase puts it, so no matter what I say, what I believe, what I do, I'm bankrupt without love. In the next 4 verses, Paul describes, plain and simple, how agape love behaves in daily life. And this is a whole nother sermon, which I wish we had time for. And I hope that you will go back over this in your devotions through this next week. Here we go. Love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. Does not demand its own way. Is not irritable. Keeps no records of being wronged. It does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever truth wins out. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, endures through every circumstance. Well, Paul comes to this marvelous conclusion. He says, and now faith, hope, and love abide, these 3. And the greatest of these is love. Pursue love. Some other translations enrich the meaning. There are 3 things that last: faith, hope, and love, and the greatest of these is love. You must want love more than anything else. Here's another: trust steadily in God, hope unswervingly, love extravagantly, and the best of these 3 is love. Go after a life of love as though your life depended on it, because it does. And then the last one, make love your aim. Make love your aim. Picture a target of concentric circles. A small circle in the center is the bullseye. Isn't Paul saying love is at the very center, the bullseye? Make love your primary target. There are some things you can shoot for out toward the edge, like getting your degree, doing well in your career, providing for your family. There are some better things you can aim at close to the center, like faith and hope. But aim first for the best thing, the center. Learn to love. If you don't hit it, anything else you hit won't count for much. Well, why is Paul coming on like horseradish? Does he need to be so emphatic? Well, most likely Paul knew from personal experience how quickly he himself could become distracted from the main thing. And he knows from being a pastor how quickly and easily a congregation can make lesser things their main thing. You can be scary smart, be at the top of your game in what you do, but if you don't apply your knowledge and skill with love, it won't count for much in God's eyes. And no matter how deeply you believe or how passionately you pray, your faith and spirituality have value only if accompanied by love. I know some pretty spiritual people who are as mean as snakes. You can pray powerfully and witness boldly. But if there is no genuine love for the seeker you hope to convert, your words will fall on deaf ears. You can be a generous person, a serving person, but do it out of ought, duty-driven rather than love-driven. Any good thing we do, if not for the sake of love, loses its meaning. The same applies to the church, us together as a family. We can become so distracted over issues that divide us to where being right or winning has become more important than loving each other, while the world outside is watching. And we can pray for the world out there and stand against what is wrong in the world, but forget to open our arms to the world, as Jesus loved the least and the last and the lost. And we in the church can fiercely cling to the way we've always done things rather than make way for some changes for the sake of love. And we could go on. Paul wasn't being too emphatic, because I know myself. I know how easy it is for me to let lesser things become my main thing. Yes, go for the good things in life. Go harder for the better things, like faith and hope. But set your sights, set your heart on the best thing, the most excellent way, the highest good. Learn to love as Jesus has loved you, because in the end, nothing else matters much. Which brings us to Paul's final thought. In the end, only the eternal things will matter. Love is eternal. In verse 8, Paul teaches, love never fails. Other translations, love will never come to an end. Love never disappears. In other words, love makes a forever difference. There's an old saying, there are no pockets in a shroud. Modern paraphrase, you'll never see a hearse towing a U-Haul trailer. Most things in this life we cannot take with us when we die. But love is something we both leave behind and take with us. First, love makes a lasting difference here. The transforming, belonging difference we make in the hearts of those we have loved continues to have its impact, continues to grow, and be passed on even after we're gone. But love is also one thing we can take with us, for love is eternal. The very essence of God is love. When it comes down to the end, only a few things will last or really matter. Faith, hope, love. Those are the eternal things, and the greatest of the eternal things is love. What if, in the end, the essence of your life, that which mattered most to you, that which you spent your life on, that which people will remember you for, what if that were chiseled on your tombstone? What words would be engraved on your stone? Some epitaphs might read, "He died with the most toys," or "She sure could make a sail," or "Boy, could he drive a golf ball," "Best dressed woman in town," "Best preacher our church ever had." Or would you rather that it read, "She really cared. He deeply loved"? Learning to love like Jesus, that's what it's all about. Love must become the motive which drives all we do and say, the seasoning which flavors our life. It takes a lifetime to learn. I think I'm just getting started. But it's the main thing. And may God, who is love, help us to keep love the main thing. Graduates, as you go out into the world, and moms, as you go out to continue to love, and all of us, may God, who is love, help us to keep love the main thing. Next Sunday, your reading assignment is James chapter 2. James chapter 2. The sermon is "Nobody is a Nobody." See you next week.